living in Michigan is a beautiful thing because you get the best of both worlds. You get to have it be too cold, too quick, and too hot, too quick. There is no spring, there is no fall, there's only suffering. And now, tonight, I'm gonna make everyone suffer here. We're all gonna suffer together. I'm gonna suffer with y'all, because I think we're gonna start. Actually, you know what? Before we get into that, let's talk about my personal life before we get into anything. So, as y'all know, I've been on a fitness journey. You know how that be. Fitness, whole food in my mouth. And like, the thing is like, it's New York, it's whatever the hell it wants to be. I don't know what, bro, New York is always how it feels right now. Whenever I go to New York, it is always incredibly humid. I don't know why. I don't know what y'all doing over there to make it like that, but that's how it always is when I go there. It's always like super humid. It's always incredibly hot. I don't know why. I don't know what y'all are doing over there. Probably pollution. That's probably what it is. It's probably all the pollution. And also just like the denseness of the city planning. That's probably what it is. The lack of like trees. Live near the ocean. I mean, here that's not really, usually it's the opposite. Here, the closer you are to the Great Lakes, the colder it's gonna be. Anyways, fuck it, bro. Let's look at what I did. I'm gonna keep this muted because it's loud. Actually, you know what? Let's just add a little bit. Just a little bit. I did this on Monday. In the spirit of Rick Boogs, I had to do it. I had to... Rick Boogs, who is currently out of commission with a torn quad, the master of the Zercher squat, I had to do it. I had to hit a PR, 300 pounds in the crook of the elbow. How real, not even men, but how real, I don't even know, real Sugma males. That's how real Sugma males squat. With the bar and the crook of the elbow, not on the back, not on the collarbone, not doing one of these or even like one of these. You do it in the crook of the elbow, where it hurts the most. And 300 pounds for me was a PR. And I have been, I think I fried my CNS because I have not recovered from that since. The next day, my entire body hurt. I said my whole back. No, my whole body. My quads, my calves somehow, even my triceps. Everything hurt. Everything. And even now, if I try and do like push-ups, it's still just like, I'm shaking as I do it. So yeah, I think I'll be fine tomorrow. Yeah, a workout I did like 4 or 5 days ago, I think I'll be okay tomorrow. That's just how it goes. And like, well, I can't even do a push-up without like shaking. I feel like I probably shouldn't be pushing it. Anyways, we gotta do the wheel. I also need to go and grab the thing, the list of the numbers. So let's see what this gives us. Let's see what this gives us. $11. Leak the DMs. What did I even mean when I put that down? What DMs? Bro, I wrote this in the beginning of the season. I don't know what that means. Leak the DMs. What DMs? What DMs am I supposed to leak? Did I have a bit plan for that? What does that even mean, past Tom? What does that mean? What does that mean? Explain. What does leak the DMs mean? What did you have in mind for that? Huh? Oh, okay, bro, listen. Yo, me from the past. What does that mean? What does this mean? What am I supposed to do? I'm at a loss here. I mean, I want the content, but like, what does that mean? All things considered, spring over here has been pretty nice. Not so much here, bro. There was no sun, it was just overcast, it was cold, and now all of a sudden is 80 degrees out, 85 degrees out, 90 degrees out. Some bullshit. We don't get to have nice things in Michigan. This is why I'm trying to get out of here. I don't know what leak the DMs means. Okay. You know what? Let's just let's do a reroll. Also, are my transitions not working, or is that just lag on my part? It should fade in out between scenes, but it's just like lagging and then whatever. 18. All right. 18 is I tried to time that for dramatic effect. 18 is literally nothing. All right. Okay. I'm just gonna do literally nothing. Do literally nothing. So anyways, the right can't meme. I don't know. All right. I don't know how brain broken my audience is. I don't know how perpetually online y'all are, but if you are perpetually online, you've probably seen this. But we gotta watch this. It's gonna be cringe. We're all gonna suffer. Just accept that now. Let's go. Hell, let's go full screen on this.
My name is Benny Johnson.
I'll just be up here. I'll just be up here.
World exclusive premiere of The Left Can't Meme.
Wait, hold on.
Ladies and gentlemen, an exclusive
Yo, hold on, hold on. Wait, did they literally... Bro, hold on. Hold on, hold on. They literally... They set up the ratio... Bro, they knew what they were doing. They set up the ratio for this, the way this is set up. It's literally set up so you have a webcam to react to it. They knew what they were doing. They knew exactly what they were doing. It's literally built in. They were like, yo, listen, we're gonna get so many leftist content creators to talk shit about our show. Like, this has to be intentional. Because listen, what we are about to see, it is not good. Nothing about it is redeeming. If I was a conservative, if I was like a crazy, like, even if I was like far, like alt-right, I would be embarrassed by what we're about to see. I would be like, nah, I don't claim that. I don't want to be associated with that. Listen, this is gonna be bad. Not because it's offensive, just because it's bad. It's just gonna be rough.
My name is Benny Johnson, and welcome to the world exclusive premiere of The Left Can't Meme. Ladies and gentlemen, an exclusive series on Parler. Parler, where free speech lives and is championed in the form of hilarious memes and content.
This is what they consider hilarious memes.
Now, many of the memes we will show you on today's episode would get you
I gotta say though, I've literally seen, like, on Facebook, like, people I went to high school with who were like, you know, back then they were like kind of reasonable, and then like they got older and just like went far down like the rabbit hole of being like a conservative, of being like QAnon, like that shit. You know, you would think like, oh no, it's just all boomers getting into... Nah, it's zoomers and millennials too, like, especially like, listen, because let me explain my experience with and like, this is probably to some degree universal, but being in the Midwest, I've seen a lot of people where after high school, you know, maybe they go off to college, maybe they don't, but usually they enter the workforce at some point. I'm 24. A lot of people who I went to high school with have graduated. They have figured things out enough to get a job where it's like, okay, I'm in the workforce. A lot of them, you know, some of them went into trades, some of them went into I don't know. There are some of them who are like getting married and shit, which I mean, you do you, but I cannot relate to wanting to do that at this point in time. Some of them are even having kids. But, like, listen, like, the thing is, a lot of these people are very much in a rush to become adults. I mean, they are adults, but they want to be, like, real adults. And they're kind of in a rush to do that, and some of them have definitely developed, like, boomer brain at the age of, like, 22. So I see them sharing memes like this. Memes that are like this low quality, like jib jab level, like 2001 political memes. Like I've seen like I've seen people I went to high school with unironically share memes that look exactly like this. I also really am it is hilarious. Wait, no. Is that the actual... I can't tell. Is that the actual is it... Did the scene just kind of do that? I don't know.
On today's episode would get you banned on social.
Okay, it's not actually centered like that. It's just how it showed up. Real adults don't take themselves so seriously. That's the thing. It's a lot of these people, they're overcompensating for how like not there they are. You know, like they're not there yet. Like it's kind of like, I used to say in high school, like a lot of the people who I knew who started drinking back then, I compared it to, it feels like I'm watching a toddler like put on like their dad's shoes and pretend like they're going to work. Because I'm like, you're not drinking because you want to drink, you're drinking because you see that as a way to feel like you're an adult. And also like, when I see people who have like this attitude of like, I got a real job, I went to college, I did all this, you know, I'm, you know, putting together like all these things, and like, you know, I'm an adult, like I don't have time to, you know, mess around with this or that or the other thing, I don't have time to have fun, you know, all these people go to a club, yeah, well I'm at home sleeping so I can go to work in the morning. And it's like, bro, you're miserable. You're miserable because you feel like you need to put on this facade to try to look like you are more mature than you actually are. Like, you are clearly miserable. Anyways, back to... I'm kind of putting this off because I don't want to sit through it, but listen.
Why do a show on memes? Because the memes hurt their feelings. Our first edition...
I mean, here's the thing, he's right. He's right. These memes do hurt my feelings because they're bad. It's bad content. As a content creator, I'm actually kind of personally offended by the low quality of what I'm seeing. So, can't say he's completely wrong.
Meme review, the left can't meme. The memes of the week, very important. Musk memes, so hot right now. And the people at Twitter are like,
oh, damn.
I feel like I've taken crazy pal.
Bro, I love how out of touch this is. Who is this for? Who are we? Who is looking at this and they're like... Cause like, okay, let's break this down. Let's do a play-by-play real quick. We go back a couple minutes, right? Okay, all right, so we have a fucking... Do I have to do this? I chose to do this. Do I have to? Okay, so for those of you who do not know, because you are fortunate enough not to know, Elon Musk responded to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I don't know why that got stuck in my mouth for a second. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Holy shit, I cannot talk right now. AOC. Fuck. Watching this is literally I can feel my brain melting. It's bad enough that it's really hot in here and I'm sweating, but now I can also feel like the radiation from my brain just melting, trying to process what I'm looking at, and it's not good. Like, I feel like my brain is just gonna start like melting out of my ears in a minute, cause like, yeah. But hey, man, this is just weird. This is just creepy. This meme is not even like, oh my god, my feelings are hurt. Y'all are just weird. Like, it's really weird how people were like, how dare AOC imply that these conservative men who constantly attack her and are literally obsessed with her would imply that they have a weird sexual like this weird sexual fascination with her. And then like y'all are like, yes, Elon Musk, go and sexually harass her on Twitter, because she posted something like alluding to Mark Zuckerberg, saying how like, oh yes, like a billionaire who owns a social media platform using that as a way to like promote certain political agendas and like sway elections through propaganda. And then Elon Musk, a 50-year-old man, responded something like, don't call me out, I'm shy, or like, stop hitting on me, I'm shy. And she was like, I wasn't talking about you, but whatever. Like, bro, listen, this is just cringe, bro. Like, it's not even like, bro, it's not even, we're past the point of it being offensive over like you're literally sexually harassing someone. Nobody even cares about that. Everyone's just like, bro, stop being cringe. Like, it's more offensive, like, bro, it's almost more offensive that you're like just being cringe. I've been off Twitter, so I'm perpetually out of touch aside from specific notifications and occasional feed. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry that you don't have the brain damage that the rest of us have. I'm sorry that you actually have a life or something, or a healthy relationship with social media. Listen.
Very important. Musk memes, so hot right now.
And here's the thing, like, he's doing that voice like it's like a mocking, like he does that like he's mocking someone, but he's doing that unironically. Like here's the thing. The reason why you have accounts like the Rights Can't Meme, the reason why you have accounts like this is because you have people on the right like this who just completely fail to even formulate anything resembling a joke. And he's trying. You can tell he's genuinely trying over here. He's trying to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna like put on this persona, it's gonna be fun, we're gonna make fun of the left, saying that the right can't meme by saying the left can't meme. And it's also not even like a criticism of leftist memes, which are actually definitely much higher quality than the right's memes, as this show inadvertently proves. But also you're just like, it's like, okay, if I were to do this show, unironically, if I was approached by like Turning Point USA or someone, by Parler, by one of these right-wing think tanks, and they were offering me a ridiculous amount of money, and I was like, fuck it, dude, I will sell my soul, I don't give a fuck about my morals, bro, I need to eat, I'd rather eat well than sleep well. If I were to do that and they're like, okay, you need to make a show for us, just like set, like, you don't need to star in it, just like create a premise for a show that is based on the left cannot meme. What I would do is I would say, okay, there are definitely some really cringe, really like embarrassing leftist memes out there that are just like kind of batshit insane, kind of like out of touch. Take those memes, bring them on the show, and basically laugh at those people. You know, in a world where I'm like just selling out my morals, that's how I would do it. Or in a world where I was actually like on the right, that's how I would do it. They did the opposite. Instead of saying, okay, we're going to take the cherry pick the worst examples of leftist memes, we're going to cherry pick the worst examples of right-wing memes, of like conservative memes, and actually just huff copium the entire time and try to convince ourselves that these are actually funny. Why would you do that? If anything, it's more of a self-report. Like I said, if I was actually like alt-right, I would be so embarrassed by this. I would be like, actually no, I'm a lib now. I'm gonna vote for fucking Biden. I don't even want to be associated with this. This is like propaganda in the wrong direction. You literally just exposed yourself. Like, I can't even like, it's not even something that's worth responding to. It's not something where I need to like stop and be like, all right, here's how, you know, actually you're wrong. Actually, you know, we're not triggered by Musk. Because like, here's the thing, right? He's gonna go into in a second. Let's just play the video real quick.
Here is the here's the libs being fired off. Like,
also, the structure of this is totally just awful. Like, there's no transition, no segue. It's just like, oh, here's a meme that isn't like Is this what am I supposed to be like? Oh yes, good quality meme. Wow, this is great. Like what? It's
Rockets, very funny, very good.
he's saying very funny, very good as he is not laughing. He's not laughing. He's just saying very funny, very good. Yes, fellow human.
Elon Musk planting screaming libs in the field.
Now he's forcing laughs. This is how touching a way they create memes no one gets that look like they were a decade old and act like they were recently trending. Yeah, like these aren't... Well, some of these they actually just pulled, like... Hold on. Okay, these are just all very cringe. It's not... And also they keep using the same picture of the same protester from when after Trump got elected. And like... Bro, that shit's from like 50,000 years, bro. In meme years, that shit is fucking ancient. You might as well be making a fucking Van Halen or fucking like a Woodstock reference and be like, hello, this is the most hello, fellow kids anything I've seen in a long time. Like, the weird forced, like, Hassan parody that, like, the Daily Wire is doing with that one girl, it feels more in touch. And feels less hello, how do you do, fellow kids, than this does. Because, like, who is the target audience of this? I want to say it's, like, Zoomers and Millennials. But I don't... I don't... Who is the market for this? Who is this actually for? Like, genuinely, who is this actually for? Is this actually just... It has to be, like, 60-year-old conservatives who spend their entire days on Facebook. It has to be. Like, there's no possible way that this is actually meant to, like, try and be, like, propaganda to get... But it's also memes. So I swear my brain is about to start melting. Who's retweeting this? I mean, who's retweeting this? Probably, most likely, all the people who are, probably all these people who are quote tweeting it to make fun of it. Also, this person makes a good point. The show is called The Left Can't Meme, but he's looking at right-wing memes. Why? Like, yeah, like, shouldn't it be criticizing and, like, cherry-picking memes from the left and saying the left can't meme? Like, I mean, that's what they're trying to say. I mean, it's really people saying, like, kind of want to kill myself after watching this. The conservative comedy scene, holy fuck. How do I unwatch a video? Like, that's who's retweeting it. It's people dunking on it. And not even dunking on it in a way it's like, ooh, I triggered you. I got you offended. I made you triggered over my epic memes or whatever. It's literally people who are like, this is not offensive because it's right wing. This is offensive because it's such bad quality. And the thing is you know that they're going to make more of this. And if anything, actually, I'm glad. I'm glad that we are at the point where conservatives are going to make content like this. And then when you ask them, like, or not even ask, what am I even saying? What are the words that I'm using? When you acknowledge that it's bad, they aren't going to be like, wait, shit. They aren't going to step back and be like, wait, this is actually, like, really bad. This makes us look really bad. This doesn't actually help us the way that we thought it would. They're going to double down. They're going to keep doing this. And if anything, it's actually better. It's hurting them way more than it's helping them by a long shot. And that's what's beautiful about this. And that's why I think people, hell, you know what, bro? Wait, hold up. Is this dude a conservative? Oh, here it is. Wait, no, this is a guy, this is the host of the show. Bro. That's who's retweeting it. The single positive retweet I'm seeing is literally a dude, bro, the most unfunny. Nah, this is actually, no, this is the funniest conservative. The conservative with the best sense of humor. Although honestly, I can't even say that because, like, most leftists do not have a good sense of humor. You know, they do not don't know what a joke is, yada yada yada. But like that's like an internal meme. And that's why I was saying earlier, I was like, dude, listen, if I was like to just be a grifter or to just like sell out completely, I could make this show better. I could do a better job doing this. I could grift harder if I really wanted to. If I really wanted to just sell out, I could do this, the left can't. Bro, you know what? Bro, honestly, I think that if I really wanted to, I could genuinely do this exact same premise for a show and actually do it way better. Like, unironically, if I just flipped sides, if I was like, actually, no, I'm a reactionary conservative now, I could blow this concept out of the water. And it's actually sad because there are so many examples of just like leftists who do not understand what a joke is, leftists who do not have a sense of humor, who every joke that you tell them, any sort of like happiness or glee or lightheartedness just goes, oh look, Elon Musk wearing blackface. Anyways, any sort of like just laughter that you could have, any type of like humor or anything, just goes right over their head. There's so many examples of that. It's so easy. This was the easiest concept to make succeed. This could actually have been like an incredibly successful propaganda campaign, but it's not going to be because they're literally that incompetent, and they have shown that even in the face of leftists, the people who do not even know what a joke is, they somehow have less of a grasp on a sense of humor. Like, not only is your ideology and all of your rhetoric bad, but also your sense of humor is bad too. Like, you can't have both. Like, listen, at least leftists are on the right side of history. At least they have that going for them. You don't get to also you need to pick a struggle, bro. You can be a reactionary conservative and actually be funny, or you can get with the program and just like stop being a fucking weirdo. You can stop like sexually harassing AOC, or like making jokes about sexually harassing AOC, or even like just actually sexually harassing AOC, and then when she calls you out for it, baby raging about it and getting triggered because you cannot admit the facts that, like, bro, listen, dude, honestly, this goes back to what I was saying a couple weeks ago, where I was like, yo, people do not compartmentalize their perspectives on things. Like, listen, dude, I can acknowledge that Riley Reid is attractive and also acknowledge that she is racist and the other R words that rhymes with racist. I can acknowledge that. I can acknowledge that both of those things exist. I don't need to repress one to have the other one be true. I can just accept both. But people do not know how to like disagree with someone who is also attractive, and that's why Hassan started posting thirst traps, because he was like, I'm tired of the hate. Anyways, what else do we got? What else we got going on here? What else we got? Oh yeah, let's talk about Invincible, because like, I don't know, I talk about animation, I guess. That's my thing, right? Oh shit. That's my thing, right? I talk about animation, I talk about cartoons. Cartoons are fun. There was also drama on Twitter this week with animation, and I don't feel like talking about it because I don't feel like giving people attention. Anyways, I asked this question. How many people watched Invincible and got super in their feelings about Amber dumping Mark? How many of those people are adults? The more I think about it, the more I think this might be something I would have been upset about if I was a teenager. But as a grown man, I don't give a fuck. And what I mean by this is, if I was like a teenager, I might be able to relate to the situation a little bit more in a way where I see it on a larger scope. Because here's the thing, when I watch Invincible, let me state this here, because people have been trying to misrepresent my position on this for a while, ever since that video of me talking about Amber and Mark's relationship came out. People have been trying to ascribe positions to me that aren't true, which is what happens on the internet if you express any opinion, is people take a bunch of related opinions and be like, actually, if you believe this, then you also believe that, because it's somewhat parallel to that. For example, people thought that I was saying that I guess there really isn't no such thing as bad publicity. That is to say, a show has any. I mean, here's the thing. They kind of shot themselves in the foot with that. Like, I would say, like, there's no such thing as bad publicity, but listen, dude, they really just took a massive L there. Like, they're not gonna gain anything from that. But anyways, what was I saying? Mark and Amber. People were trying to say that I thought that Invincible was problematic because of, like, the way that this was handled and the way it, like, the show fell into certain tropes, and I kind of acknowledged that, and it's like, bro, I'm an adult. I don't react to things like that. I don't look at, like, okay, they kind of fell into, like, this common trope of, like, you know, main character gets with a black girl and then they break up. Like, that's kind of a weird thing that keeps happening in fiction. That's a common reoccurrence. But, like, I wasn't like, yo, this is bad. Like, this is, like, the worst thing. But basically, my opinion was ultimately, this is a high school relationship. This is actually, that's a strength to the writing of Invincible. In fact, Sarcastic Chorus probably had the best take, and he basically described how he didn't like the ship because it was padding for the rest of the show. He acknowledged that, and I agree with that. Did my voice just crack? I agree with that. But the thing is value-wise. I mean, based on watching Sarcastic Chorus's videos, I can understand that for him, I think that he cares a lot more about shipping and about, like, the progression of relationships in a story than I do. For me personally, I could see the value in this relationship because it shows us that Mark is an immature 18-year-old boy. And the thing is whenever I acknowledge that, whenever I say, like, yeah, no, like, Mark was definitely in the wrong as well as Amber, they were mutually at fault in making this relationship fail, people tend to be like, oh my god, you're defending you're saying that Mark is problematic. I'm like, no, he's 18. He's an 18-year-old boy reacting to a relationship and the conflicts that come up in the relationship and the hurdles that he has to go through like an 18-year-old boy would. And that is in a way that is not ideal because he's 18. He doesn't have any experience in relationships. He's clearly like a nerdy kid. He just, like, got superpowers and now he's, like, overwhelmed with, now he's actually, like, kind of cool, but he spent, like, his entire life being a nerd who reads comic books and works at the local, like, McDonald's variant, even though, like, bro, homie definitely was lifting, bro. Like, homie was built, just like his dad. Mark wants to have his cake and eat it too. Exactly. And here's the thing. Whenever I acknowledge that, people are always like, how dare you? How dare you? Mark was saving lives. Mark was saving lives, and you are judging him for trying to make a relationship work while also being a superhero? He's allowed to try, and he is. But listen, he ended up sacrificing his relationship for his superhero duties. And when you make a sacrifice, there are usually consequences that come along with that. And when you make that sacrifice, you have to accept those consequences are going to come. And the consequence of trying to have his cake and eat it too, by trying to be a superhero and have a girlfriend for the first time, entering a new relationship as soon as he's also starting a new career path where he has to save people's lives and might potentially die in the crossfire. The sacrifice was he fucked up his relationship. And that's just a fact. Like, that doesn't mean that, like, Amber didn't react in a way that was very, how you say, over dramatic. She was being pretty dramatic. She was kind of engaging in logic and kind of playing games that maybe a mature person in a relationship shouldn't, but she's also a child. She's also like 17 or 18. I don't think they ever actually say how old she is, but she's the same age as Mark. She's 17 or 18. And if she's 17 or 18 and she's acting like an idiot in a relationship, that's just in character. And people are like, well, Amber was supposed to be like strong and like independent and like had all these like values and stuff. And it's like, yeah, guess what? people contradict themselves. That's how people are. It's not even out of character for her. Like, it's really not. Like, even if she, and like, here's the thing. Someone actually linked a video in response to this. And I'm not going to click on the video, but I do want to just like, actually I will click on the video real quick. I just want to,
Invincible is a great show.
oh my god, why does it not let me pause without just like, okay. I do want to just like give a quick shout out. Props to you, bro. You have 14,000 subscribers and you got 1.6 million views on this. Good job, bro. I like, genuinely, like, props to you. I'm not gonna watch this video. I watched some of it while I was in the parking lot of Taco Bell earlier this week, which is also where I made this tweet. The point that person makes is that Amber is a bad character because she's a Mary Sue and has no flaws, but also then says that she acts irrationally and that she was being ridiculous. And how is that not having flaws? Like, at that point, you're not saying that Amber has no flaws. You're saying that she has no flaws that you find charming or that you agree with. You're saying that she has no flaws that you personally can, that you can stomach. You're basically saying she has flaws, but I don't like her flaws. And the thing is this isn't a problem with the writing. That's the thing, is I really want to like drive this home. Like, a character cannot be a good person, a character can be unlikable, and that doesn't mean that the writing is bad. Amber can be a little bit unlikable. And here's the thing, is like, part of the reason why I phrased this tweet in this way, where I mentioned like how many people mad are actually adults, is because as an adult, I can understand why. I can be a little bit charitable. I can empathize with Amber's position, and I can say, you know what, as a 17 or 18-year-old girl who's in probably one of the first relationships she's ever been in, and like she's given this dude a chance despite not being okay with something that is clearly going to be a recurring theme in their relationship, I can forgive that. Like, it's not, it's definitely a character flaw. It's definitely a mistake on her part, but I can forgive it because I can recognize it's something a young person would do. It's something that a young man would do even. But like, okay, I'm gonna go woke for a second. I'm gonna go SJW on y'all. I'm not gonna pretend like the disparity in the hate between Amber and Mark is not related to the fact that Mark is a white presenting character and Amber is a black woman. I'm not gonna, and here's the thing, the race may not have anything to do with it, to be honest. It might just be the fact that Amber's a woman. I don't think the race necessarily helps the situation. Like, I do think that people are generally going to be harder on characters that are black women than even characters who are white women. And I definitely think that people are going to be harder on characters that are women than they are on men, characters who are men. And I think that's definitely playing a role here, because the thing is like, I mean, it's also the fact, I'm not gonna lie, it's also the fact that Mark is the main character, so you're automatically going to empathize with him a bit more than another character, a character who is not the main character. Because listen, just the framing of the story, you're not really expected to empathize that much with Amber. And I don't even think that's a mistake of the writing. Maybe it's something that, you know, in, you know, hindsight, it's 2020. I might make a point to make Amber a little bit more sympathetic. Maybe do some things to show her perspective in a more human way. But I don't think that's, it's really just, it's not an issue. That's ultimately my take is ultimately that both of them are stupid, both of them are kids, and both of them are acting in character for being the age that they are. And the entire show of Invincible hinders on the fact that Mark is a immature child who is reacting to an incredibly brutal and traumatizing area of work that in fiction is often glorified. So I think that this is like, that's kind of where I disagree with Sarcastic Horse, where he's talking about like, yeah, I didn't like the relationship and the fact that it doesn't add anything to the story. But I do think it does add something in the fact that it's showing us who Mark is. it's showing us that Mark, but the thing, the problem is people aren't taking away what you're supposed to be taking away. What you're supposed to take away is the fact that Mark is a immature 18-year-old boy who doesn't know how to navigate the changing parts in his life, including like being a superhero and also trying to balance relationships, which Sarcastic Chorus did mention is kind of just a retelling of a old trope that has been done many times. But I think it's important to explain when are kids allowed to be dumb? Never, apparently. I mean, people do the same thing with Miraculous. People are like, oh my god, I can't believe these 14-year-old characters are acting like 14-year-olds. I can't believe that Mabel from Gravity Falls acted like a 12-year-old girl. I can't believe it, bro. Like, who does she think she is? She should know better. Like, bro, here's the thing. I'm gonna get on my soapbox for a minute. Fiction is full of situations that are so extreme that most of us will never be able to fully empathize with the weight of the situation. If you found out that your boyfriend, who is always flaking on you, the guy who you've been dating, is always flaking on you, and you're getting upset, and you're constantly just like getting more and more impatient with him, and then you find out that he's a superhero, why would you just make the correct decision? Why would you not be like, actually, yeah, this is getting kind of ridiculous, this whole situation, I didn't sign up for this, sorry, I'm out? Like, you know that you wouldn't do that, you know? Like, fiction is full of circumstances that are so extreme and so unrealistic that how are you going to know exactly how you would react? That's what I want to know, is, well, why are people so confident in saying that, like, actually, no, this would be the correct decision to make, and you didn't make it? Like, homie, like, we all make mistakes. You've definitely done something in your life. Like, listen, I'm not even saying, like, value-wise. You've definitely done something in your life. You've definitely made a decision in life that was not correct. You've definitely handled a situation wrong. You've definitely given into your emotions at times and regretted it later. Hell, we saw that on animation Twitter this past week. A bunch of people being very emotional and saying things that they're definitely probably going to regret if they don't regret it already. People being absolutely ridiculous. So, like, come on, bro. Like, have a little bit of sympathy. Have, like, a little bit of, like, just be a little bit charitable to these characters. Don't just fucking, like, hate on them just indiscriminately for not doing the thing that they're supposed to do. And that's my take on it. Because, like, I mean, even if they're adults, bro, like, honestly, dog, even in Infinity War, when, like, Chris Pratt, Star-Lord, like, he low-key kind of fucked up everything because they were about to get the gauntlet off of Thanos, and then Thanos was, like, talking shit, and then Star-Lord got all mad, and then, like, fucked up their chance to, like, actually, like, apprehend Thanos for a minute before he could snap the half the universe away. Like, I can be like, yo, damn, that was dumb as fuck, but, like, listen, bro, if, like, am I gonna pretend like there isn't, like, something emotionally charged that could oh god, I almost choked on my own spit. Am I going to pretend like there's no situation where I would be in like that, where it's like tensions are high, the stakes are high, and I might get like a little bit like emotionally carried away and fuck up and make the wrong decision? I don't know, maybe I would, like, you know what I mean? Like, I wish people were and like, that's like the worst example too, because, like, let's be honest, it's kind of hard to defend that decision he made. We're all a little dumb sometimes because emotions are weird. Also, yeah, and like, fiction oftentimes uses characters in a way where you're going to see their most vulnerable moments where they fuck up the most. Like, okay, that's the wrong thing. Okay, so Blizzard, I don't even know what this is. Blizzard did like this weird chart to make sure and like measure if their characters are tokens or not by basically, like, I don't even know, but like, I don't even fully understand what they were doing, but I can kind of tell it's dumb. Because it's really just trying to measure the Arcane says hi. Arcane is Riot. That's the wrong company, bro. Although, I mean, I don't know which is more problematic, Riot or Blizzard. Probably Blizzard right now. I'm gonna be honest. I just wanted to use this as a opportunity to acknowledge that Blizzard usually has the best of intentions, but they have no literally I was doing so good most of this. I had a couple hiccups, misspeaking, stumbling over my words, but now it's just like, bro. I mean, I couldn't say Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez earlier, which that was embarrassing, but now I just can't talk at all. Blizzard has no literacy when it comes to morality and ethics, so I can never be surprised when they do something tone deaf. Like, listen, I've played World of Warcraft for years. I've played Warcraft. Like, I've seen the decisions that Blizzard makes in their stories. I know that they don't always have the best decision-making skills when it comes to morality. The fact that the game devs for Warcraft insist that Arthas was a bad guy for calling Stratholme, for murdering everyone in Stratholme when they were infected with contaminated grain, and were going to turn into members of the Scourge army against their will, probably a fate worse than death, to become a zombie and fight on behalf of the Lich King. Or not even the Lich King. Wait, was it the Lich King? No, Lich King, Ner'zhul was like in the helmet, and he wasn't really even like a active player. But like for like Kel'Thuzad and like all those like the Scourge and shit, like they were going to be slaves in the army of the Scourge, and he was like, all right, I just need to kill everyone here. Like that's the right decision. And Jaina and Uther were like, no, Arthas, you can't do that. And he was like, well, fuck y'all, I'm gonna do it anyways because that's the right thing to do. And the Warcraft devs have all gone on not all of them, but a lot of them have like publicly said like, yeah, he was the bad guy for doing that. And just about everyone who has played Warcraft and played for that campaign is like, what? No, he was in the right. Like he was like sparing them from like a awful fate and like trying to like prevent the spread of that across Lordaeron. And like the people of Blizzard are like, no, he was wrong. And it's like, no. Like everyone who's played that is like, no, he was the good guy. But they're like, no, that was him becoming evil. That was like him starting to like turn and like become the Lich King. And we're like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. And they did the same thing with the Horde. Not explicitly, but like they kind of did like the reverse, where around Cataclysm, I think they realized like, wow, a lot of people actually empathize with and side with the Horde over the Alliance, even though the Alliance is meant to be like the good guys and the Horde are the bad guys, which, you know, Horde and Alliance are the two factions in World of Warcraft. So they were like, you know, okay, people are siding with the Horde, let's explore that a little bit, okay? Like the Horde is about honor, the Horde is about like tradition and stuff, and you know, like carrying on certain values, like positive values. Let's bring that through in Garrosh, and also make Garrosh like an ethnic cleanser and like a genocider and like a fucking war criminal. Like that's sympathetic, right? You know? And they're like, they kept trying to like they were doing that while also leaning into like, no, like the Horde are like the good guys, like they're like oppressed by the Alliance, and everyone's like, no, now they're actually the bad guys. And they're like, no, guys, Sylvanas. And it's like, Sylvanas is literally a fascist. Like, what are you talking about, bro? So yeah, like I don't trust Blizzard in a lot of cases to make like calls when it comes to morality or ethics, as you see here. And also the facts that oh, look at that. Activision Blizzard reportedly sent out anti-union message ahead of voting deadline. And then they come out with this. Huh, that's kind of interesting. Also, like, you know, after the lawsuit and shit, with like the state of California being like, yo, are y'all sexually harassing women, Blizzard? After that, they did hire a law firm to defend them that specializes in union busting, so that's fun. And also, but like honestly, like the more important legal decision is this.
Calling
Oh shit.
man bald is sexual harassment. Employee tribunal rules. Calling man bald is sex harassment after employment tribunal compares it to commenting on a woman's breasts. As electrician called bald by supervisor is set to win compensation for having dignity violated. Tony Finn was fired from his British bung company after being called a bald Ruling was made by a panel of 3 men who bemoaned their own lack of hair. Thank God. Bald kings rise up. Finally, we're fighting back against the matriarchy. They're trying to make fun of us for going bald. Yeah, let's stick together, guys. That's right.
Anyways, without further ado, that's enough of me talking to y'all on my own. I think it's about time to bring on our guest, the one, the only, Geek Tunes. Hello.
Hey.
Yo, what's up, man?
Nothing much. I've just kind of been expecting this the entire week, and I've kind of been very excited for this. Thank you very much for having me.
Nice. Thank you for coming on.
No problem.
All right, so introduce yourself to the audience for the people who do not know you.
Well, my name is Geek Tunes. I run a channel on the YouTubes called Geek Tunes. I've been making content ever since July of 2019, and I've kind of been, having a bit of a journey the last 3 years. And, I make videos on animated series, movies, whatever the fuck. And, I'm here right now talking with Tom.
Nice. And I do want to commend you real quick on your channel branding, because I didn't really know who you were before you reached out to come on the show, but I did recognize your name because Geek Tunes has like the ability to just stick out like, oh yeah, like that. Like I already know like what your channel's about and everything just from that name. So I want to just commend you on that.
Thank you.
All right. So what got you started on YouTube? Like what inspired you to start making videos?
Well, it's kind of okay, so it's not the happy of a story. So what happened was 2019, I went through kind of one of the worst years in my entire life. And it was just not a good year at all.
Mm-hmm.
And didn't really have the best, year. And so around summer that time, I had nothing. I kind of finished up my 10th year, or 10th grade. And I didn't really have much to do over summer. My family usually goes on these trips where we travel over to the UK, just to visit like friends that we had over there and everything. But we couldn't really go that year. So we were just kind of stuck home. And what I had was a laptop, headset microphone, and very little to no video experience. And it's kind of been a thought. It was kind of a thought before then that I would end up making videos, or I wanted to at least start making videos at some point. And so with a bit of a push from my younger sister, she did kind of tell me like, oh, you should do it. So I just started up in 2019. Weren't the best, obviously, but I'm kind of happy with the way things are. At least it's humble beginnings. I feel like that's kind of the thing.
Mm-hmm. Also, I just want to appreciate the people in the chat showing you love. Also, what's good, Ultimate Guy 2003. Yeah,
that's my boys.
I honestly kind of relate to that because like before I started with the roundtable, I mean before even the roundtable, I was doing my own thing, and then fortunately I was friends with Kevin, who was like, actually, I want to bring you onto a larger platform. But the thing that kind of drew me towards making content to begin with on my own was like I went through like a really bad year, or like a bad 6 months the previous year, that just left me like very depressed. And I was like, you know what? In order to get over this, I think I'm going to turn to entertainment and try and be entertaining on the internet and like bring a part of myself back. Because like I was definitely like a shell of my former self. So
yeah, no, because that's kind of the thing. It's experiences like that just kind of makes you want to find like an alternative in creating stuff. Because I started out not with the best, obviously, but it made me happy. That's kind of the thing. It get me like my videos weren't doing the best, many views as I do now. And obviously I'm not a big YouTuber, like it's much different. But like
Right.
I was like getting maybe like 5 views per video. And my
Mhm.
videos were really, really shitty. But like it was making me happy, and it was like kind of making me forget about like the bad year I had. It was
Yeah.
sort of an escape.
Yeah. Also, thank you, Mephi, for the follow. Yeah, honestly, like, that's the thing that's kind of hard with, like, if you do blow up right away, or if you, like, end up in front of a bunch of people right away. It's like, usually in the beginning, you're not making videos because you know they're going to be good. You're making videos kind of as, like, a trial and error. Like, you're doing it to figure out what to do. Also, thank you, Faceless Massacre, for the follow.
Yeah. It's like the thing was that at the very least, right? When I started, I always kind of knew that I wanted to do like animation stuff, because animation for the longest time, ever since I was even born, it's been like a big part of my life for a while. Like I know everybody says that, but
Yeah.
it genuinely has been. Animation was the reason that I learned English, like because fun fact about me, not really Canadian, like
Mhm.
kinda. It's kind of a mixed citizenship kind thing type thing. So originally I'm from the Middle East, where I was born to like a family of five. I'm like, like 3 kids, 2 boys, 1 girl. I'm like the middle child. So for the longest time, my dad would like bring us these DVDs and bring us like all these different types of shows and movies on DVD or Blu-ray or even VHS back then. It's like he would show us that just to kind of entertain us. And like I don't even think he was planning like he planned anything for the future. He just kind of brought them so we could be entertained. But like it's very much because of that, and because of like several other like instances of me just watching TV while my parents were like at work, or even back then when my dad was like in college, like studying for his like master's degree. He was like he would put like me and my brother in front of the TV, and I would be watching like animated shows on movies for hours.
Mhm.
And that's kind of it. It really hasn't changed since then. It's like I'm now 20 years old. I'm still watching cartoons and animation, and like I still find comfort in them, and I'm still like close to them. Some of them have definitely become like a very good pastime for me. Stuff that I look forward to in like every week.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you everyone who's following. I'm gonna focus on the interview for now, so thank you guys. But also, yeah, like honestly I've thought about it, because like I do feel like right now I'm kind of stuck in a box when it comes to animation, like as far as like making content goes. But it's like there are like some other things that I do want to make videos on, and like more general things I want to make videos on. But like when I think about like specifically like reviewing media, there aren't many things like outside of like animation that like I even feel compelled to talk about, because it's like it is something where it's like once you get into it, like it's like honestly, I mean this is a subjective thing, but I genuinely think like animation is probably the best medium for telling a story,
It is.
just in general, because there are so few limitations if you do it right, and like there are very few things that you can't do with animation.
Yeah.
I also want to acknowledge, because like even a couple of the videos that you sent me, like I feel like we have like a bit of a common bond, where it's like
Yeah.
specifically with some of the shows that we choose to defend.
Yeah, it's like because that's kind of the thing. It's always been subjective. Like even 2000, like 2021, when I first made that the Legend of Korra video, and it's been a
Mhm.
big meme in front of my friend group, obviously. But still, like I've never been one to sort of just go with the crowd with opinions most of the time. Like
Mhm.
I could definitely like say things like, "Oh, I don't like." People will constantly like put Gravity Falls on like a pedestal, for example, and I'm just like, "Is it like it's good?" But like I won't think of it as like the messiah of animation, and then compare like everything else that comes after it to just that show. Because like yeah, sure, it's been like a landmark achievement for some of these things, but it's just like you can't like, is it really fair to compare like this show to other ones that are being made now? That's kind of the question. It's hard to do that. So many like for at least for me, it's hard to compare like this big show to this new show that's currently being made.
Right.
So that's kind of why, with some of the opinions I have, it's definitely not like the most agreed upon, but it's at least I take pride in it because it's my opinion.
Yeah, because like the one of the last things you want to do is like come out and just say something that's popular for the sake of like you're gonna get a bunch of people who are, because I think something that some people do with content, because like there is a bit of a demand for it, is like people sometimes go to reviews not to actually think deeper about the subject or think like get like a different perspective. They want their own perspectives to be justified, which is why like videos about how Steven Universe is garbage tend to do really well, is because there's a lot of people who just never really got into Steven Universe, and they want their opinion to be validated and have people like bring up points, whether they're valid or not, that support their feelings. And it's a lot harder to go into a video and be like, well, actually everyone feels this way, but I don't really see it the same way.
It's like I agree with that sentiment to some point, because sometimes you will have that one opinion that everybody agrees with, and like it's hard, it's easy, it's super easy. Like I'm gonna be completely honest, it's super easy to make a video or a tweet just saying like, oh, popular thing is popular, and maybe you don't like it. Look, I don't like it because of one specific reason, but that reason has to be the reason why it's so, like, you know, why I hate it, and then other people will just agree with you for that.
Yeah, because it's definitely a thing where there are a lot of people who just do not have the security in themselves to just not like something. Like they always have to have like this grand, like either moral or intellectual reasoning as to why.
Yeah. It's because that's kind of why, like, stuff like that, it's hard for me to do anything negative on YouTube. Because because usually I may sound like a negative person to my friends, but like I'm not really that negative when it comes to media. It's maybe specific media I could talk about, but it's hard for me to just write a script or record something or, you know, finish up a video without me feeling like, do I really have to do this? I could just be doing this a lot more constructively, or at least take an opinion that's just like not completely negative and just dunking on a show just for attention. That's kind of the thing, because it's hard. It's hard for me to do that. I can see why other people find it easily, because so many people have taken into account like the Mr. Enter saying just of it's easier to take apart the car than to put it back together. But I feel like that's kind of the opposite for me. Like I'm not saying that makes me unique. I'm just, that's how I function.
Yeah. I also think that to some degree you kind of have to either be very removed from the process and just not be educated on like the amount of like human like passion that goes into all that stuff, or you just have to just not care. Because like part of the thing with me personally, like having so many friends in the industry and people who I've known, like just like people I've been able to meet through the privilege of like being a large creator who talks about media, I personally, like, I couldn't just go into like a video and give a bunch of bad faith criticism, because it's like I know that there's someone on the other side. And the thing that I think that a lot of like younger like creators don't really understand is if you're making a video about a show, chances are that if it gets any traction whatsoever, people who work on the show are going to see it. Like, and the last thing that you want, like, I mean, some people, maybe it's different, but for me, the last thing I want is to just shit on a show, just like with zero thought into it, just being like, yeah, this was bad. This is, the people who worked on this are completely unqualified, and having someone who put their heart and soul into whatever work they did on that show, and maybe like it didn't turn out the way that they wanted because animation is a large machine with many cogs and many people involved, and then they see me just shitting on like the work that they put in. Like that's the last thing I want personally.
Yeah, like that's kind of the reason why this week has been like such a hassle for me and like a lot of other people, because we're here defending this stuff, and like just younger people who just, they don't, like, not younger, but like I guess less in the know, people who are less in the know, they don't know what goes on behind the scenes, or like what people have to do to actually get these episodes out. It's a really hard process, and like just seeing people like this, and like seeing this stuff happen, and then just seeing creators compare this to the rest of the community just seems very like unfair in my eyes. And like I've definitely, because fun fact, I'm making a script about like something close to this, and this is definitely one of the points that I've seen, where people will constantly, like at least creators will constantly compare animation Twitter to the cartoon community, and that seems a bit unfair, because here we are like years later, years after, like way later after like Mr. Enter sort of made his mark, and like after everybody has like established a following and fan base, there are tons of other creators, big and small, just like doing all these positive reviews and doing like some stuff that's more constructive, like criticism that's a lot more constructive than outright saying like everyone's just based off of Mr. Enter. It's like stuff like that definitely like does frustrate me, just seeing like people comparing the, you know, how it is on Twitter to how it is on like stuff like YouTube, because it's a lot more unfair. Because we try our best to at least offer good criticism, but
Mhm.
they just don't see it. They just see what's happening on social media, and because that's kind of the way like I've seen things the last, at least like the past few months, and like even the past few years, if you want to go that far. Because you see stuff like this and you just think like, what has been like the point of like improving for years on end, and then seeing like new people appear, and like
Yeah.
just those new people not get their like their credit.
Absolutely. Also, I want to get clarification when you say like animation Twitter versus the cartoon community. Are you specifically like saying that you want to draw a separation between like cartoon community creators like on YouTube versus like the people on Twitter who like act reactionary and do all this like
Yep,
wild stuff?
that's exactly what I mean. That's
Okay.
exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
These people could be on Twitter. It's just like a lot. It's there's a difference. There's a huge difference that these show creators, like, I feel like they just don't notice.
Yeah. That's definitely something I've thought about, because like I've mentioned a few times where like I don't even really like the term cartoon community, because half the time I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, who does that refer to? Because it's like a lot of people use it as like an umbrella term to mean like people who make videos about cartoons, and then also like the people on Twitter who talk about cartoons and like are active, and like to some degree like there are good people within that, I'm sure, who are posting positively and get drowned out by the incredibly toxic and incredibly manipulative people who know how to game the algorithm to get engagement. But like,
Yeah.
I'm either way, I'm not a part of that. Like, I feel incredibly disconnected from those people. I don't really have any desire to necessarily be a part of that in group. I'm happy to have a positive relationship through making content for those people, but like I don't identify with a lot of those people. So it's like,
Yeah.
how am I part of the cartoon community and then those people are also part of the cartoon community?
It's hard to believe sometimes. It's like so many people just think that like we're all just, Clownfish TV or Mr. N or just like Lily Orchard.
Yeah.
That's because like their negative reviews have sort of like outshined a lot of our like stuff. Not in a good way, of course, in a bad way, but still, like it sort
Yeah.
of like overshadowed a lot of the positivity that we sort of created the last 5 years. Like, think about it this way. Sorry. Think about it this way. Like, we now currently as a community have evolved so much, and like people just keep throwing away that evolution. We now have people like Tuner Victorique, Vertus Joe, to a more like, to a lesser extent, like even a lot of the small guys. Like, I know I've literally interacted with a lot of the smaller cartoon community, and like there are some genuinely talented and like genuine people who want to just offer their opinions, but in like a more constructive way. But that's not being seen as much. That's
Yeah.
the issue.
Yeah, I mean, like, as someone who is definitely like ingrained in the cartoon community at this point, after being involved for like, what has it been, like 6 years, or has it been 6 years? I don't even know. But like, after being involved in it for this long, like most people I see, most people who I meet and interact with who have attention for talking about cartoons, most of the time they're being positive. Most of the time they're giving constructive criticism. There has been, I feel like recently, been a slight resurgence of people being a little bit more negative, which I don't like, but they aren't even necessarily like that close to the community. And usually it's people who are kind of like Lily Orchard, kind of like people who are a little bit more on the outskirts, and almost like, I don't even know if it's like mainstream YouTube, but they're definitely not part of our community, but they manage to get viral videos out. And then like they somehow, despite not even having like an affiliation with us, like I don't think I've even interacted with most of them. Like they somehow start to like represent us as a community.
It's a shame, really is.
Yeah.
It's like we've definitely changed, because whenever this stuff kind of gets brought up, or like whenever I see this stuff, I always kind of get reminded. If you remember, like way back when, there used to be the problems with the cartoon community video by Mars Reviews.
Oh yeah.
And it's like to sort of, yeah, exactly. It is, and I respect Mars for kind of like pointing out the issues back then, but a lot has definitely changed, because you have to think of it this way. Like, he's pointed out like how there's no cartoon community members over 1 million subscribers. There is now. Also the Roundtable. That's literally one big example. There's like people who are covering like content that isn't like super mainstream. There is now like a lot of the stuff that he mentioned back then. Like, for example, like the biggest example that I saw, at least, there's like no reliable news source for cartoons. We literally live right now in like a community where Cartoon Crave is now a thing. So to sort of the way I sort of see it is like we've gone so far, and like we've like come so far from like the day where that video represented most of the issues in the community, and now with like it makes me like it someone makes me a lot happier to see that like stuff that he mentioned. I don't hate Mars for that. Of course, he was just talking. He was just talking his shit. He was just saying the issues that he saw. But like the way I see it, it makes me happier that like he's like that video slowly but surely being proven wrong with like every few years.
Yeah, it's
If that
outdated
makes
now.
sense. Yeah,
Like it's something that you don't want to age well.
yeah, and it hasn't. Thank God, because I don't know if Mars like I don't know if Mars regrets the video or not. I haven't like I don't talk to the guy,
Yeah.
but I'm pretty sure like at some point some people have to look at that and just be like, there are definitely issues with the community now. Don't get me wrong, but it's definitely changed from back then when he from all the issues that he mentioned before.
Yeah. I mean, I personally, I've only talked to Mars like a few times, so I don't
Yeah.
really know what his perspective would be. But if I was in his shoes and I made that video, to be honest, I wouldn't regret it, because I feel like that's kind of if you're gonna make like a problem with the X whatever video, I feel like your goal should be that like over time those problems get solved, because like even like a lot of the people that he mentioned in that video, like they've slowly but surely been thinned out from the herd. And honestly, like I don't know if stuff with Scoutfly still hangs around these parts, but and if he does and he sees this, I think it was kind of hilarious when he just came out, when he had his like meltdown, and he was like, I don't even watch these shows, I just go on the wikis. I'm like, bro, that's legendary. Like, as much as he exposed himself as like a grifter who was like just trying to talk about animation for money, I thought that was fucking hilarious when he said that.
Yeah, no, 100%. Especially when people are just like looking back on his history. It's
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah, because he was like considered like, and like his image too was like super sanitized back then, and like he was just like what Mars said, like he was basically like a dude born in like 1998 pretending he was a 90s kid.
Yeah, definitely 100%.
No, I don't really
Yeah.
know what else to talk about with that. So what
Well, I
were
mean, I
some
could-
of your favorite cartoons?
Well, a lot. There's a long list, but I kind of go by sort of a top 10 situation, because that constantly changes, like it changes year by year. I mean, it's kind of obvious some of the picks if you were one of my friends who knows me and like has literally heard me gush about these shows, but like to any newcomer or like to anybody who's like talking to me recently, like there's a lot. So let's see, like there's Ed and Eddie, of course, that's like number one all time. Amphibia, Owl House, Korra. There's Korra's a lot higher than Avatar actually on that list, because I understand people love Avatar, but like Korra definitely to me has stuck around, has more staying power in like, at least for me as like a viewer, than Avatar. Avatar just kind of feels like a lot more people are connected to it, but like I feel like I connect a lot more to Korra.
Here's what I'll say as a fellow Korra apologist. I think that if you judge Avatar for what it is, I think it's probably better than Korra, but Korra did not play things nearly as safe as Avatar, and it took a lot more risks. So
oh yeah, definitely.
I think it deserves respect for that, at least.
It's like, what other show tackles PTSD?
I mean, at this point, a few other shows, but back then...
Yeah, a few other shows, but back then, true. Man, it's like stuff like that like... Also, there's like another trend that's kind of appeared in the last, like, I think since 2020, sort of appeared that a show will be like venomously hated over the 2010s, over like the large period of the 2010s, and then come back, or like have a slow comeback to people who love animation, and then it'll just be look back on fondly by a lot of people. Korra was venomously hated back then.
I think part of that might be the fact that like there are people who are like older who watch those shows, and they tend to have like a larger voice online initially, and then they're super critical of it. But then like the younger people who grew up like loving the show, and then like as they grow up and have like a more analytical perspective, they still have like they have a much more charitable view on like some of the flaws, and they have a completely different perspective on it. So then as they get older and have the opportunity to participate more in the overall discourse, I think that definitely changes things.
Yeah, because stuff like that just kind of, because it feels like that might happen again. But I'm not sure which shows exactly. But like it's definitely up to chance. But like it might happen again with a lot more shows that are just like currently very venomously hated. But then they'll just be looked back fondly in like a few years' time. Just give it time, and people will just change their minds.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that really makes me glad that like animation isn't like a constant thing. It's not just stuck to like one sort of like feeling towards it. Because I've thought about this morning, like animation very much has an effect on like most of its fans. Some could be positive, some could be negative, but it
Mhm.
does stay neutral, and it depends on like how the person's feeling or like what's the current like stand with most animated projects or stuff at the time.
Yeah.
So it stays neutral and then constantly shifts, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and it's like it's also it definitely affects. I think it matters a lot, like where you're at in life when you watch a certain show, because there are
Mhm.
definitely like I've rewatched Avatar, both Korra and Last Avatar, like multiple times, and I feel like
Yeah.
every time I watch it, I take away something different because like I'm at like a different point in my life. I am at like a different level of maturity, and I just analyze it differently like every time I rewatch it because I usually wait like a couple of years in between.
Yeah, that's kind of the same thing with me and the and like Amphibia.
Hmm.
Both those shows, like All House and Amphibia, came out when I was like 18 years old in the pandemic. And like, or at least I saw them when I was 18. So what happened was I couldn't really get into Amphibia and just kind of brushed it off as like, oh, this show doesn't mean that much. It's probably like a goofy, silly show, and I was wrong. I was
Yeah.
so wrong because I really got into it at age 19, literally a year later when my situation was a lot different and I was a lot happier, and I just kind of happier is kind of a strong word because like I was struggling with a certain thing in life, and that show kind of gave me a lot more of an escape, and now I have a lot more of an appreciation for that show. You know how some people, like a lot of people, have like sort of comfort shows in their lives, like
Yeah.
shows that they go back to just to sort of forget about life and just kind of just take it in and relax a little.
Hmm.
That was Amphibia for me. So I was struggling with a bit of college selection stuff, and so it was midnight, and I didn't really have much to do. All my friends were busy, and I kind of just was stuck in my room, just with everybody else asleep, and I just decided to just put on Amphibia, and I watched the first season and the second season, and before I knew it, it's been like 2 weeks later, and I was obsessed with it.
Hmm.
That's the best stuff.
Yeah.
Because yeah, so I kind of see where you come from with the different different situations, and like you getting into that show because of your different situation.
Yeah. I think
It helps a lot.
I think the last time that happened for me was rewatching Naruto over the pandemic, which
Oh yeah.
in hindsight I realized like that was kind of a universal thing. I think a lot of people were doing that. But like why
Yeah.
I kind of had like this perception in Naruto where it's like, oh yeah, no, it's like the mainstream like entry level anime for a lot of people, and like I did watch it when I was younger. It was like one of the first non-Dragon Ball Z animes that I watched. So I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, no, like it's okay, but it's not that good. And I rewatched it. And of course, like just a word of advice to anyone watching who hasn't or wants to go back and watch Naruto, do not watch the filler. Of course it's gonna be bad. If you
Yes.
watch the filler, you need to like find a guide and skip the filler. But like I rewatched
Definitely.
it. Yeah, I rewatched it. I'm like, there's a lot of really good lessons here. Like just about like
Yep.
partly like self-determination, but also just like finding value in yourself and like dealing with like feeling rejected by society. And also something like I kind of took away even like in my 20s, because like I've always kind of been like a more shy, reserved person. I was like, Naruto is like the most annoying motherfucker, but everyone ends up liking him. And I realized like,
Yeah.
oh wait, like if you're annoying, people are going to forgive it if you have like redeeming qualities. So like it made me a lot more confident in the fact that it's okay to be annoying, because like as long
Yeah.
as you're like confident in yourself as a person, and as long as you're confident in like your strengths and everything, like people aren't gonna care. Like they're gonna be able to look past that. But if you never put yourself out there, they're not gonna know that your positive traits are even there to begin with.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm actually kind of surprised that you brought up that you brought up Naruto, because that's also one of the shows I've been watching like a lot of. It's like December 2021, and then still continuing watching Shippuden now. Like
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from, because that's definitely like that's kind of why I've like recently very much related to Naruto, because I did watch it before with my older brother, and then kind of stopped mid 2010s, and then got back into it in 2021. So that kind of reflected a lot of the stuff that I kind of went through in the community.
Yeah.
I don't mean to bring that back, but like it's definitely been connected somehow. Because when I started off, it's like I kind of did relate a lot to Naruto's journey. Because when he did start off, he's definitely annoying,
Yeah.
100%. Definitely like as a kid too. But like the thing was, I was 17 at the time. Like I was a very dumb 17-year-old. I know you're technically not a kid at 17, but you are
You're
very
still
much
dumb.
annoying. Like yeah, you're still dumb,
Yeah,
and
like
I've
I
made a
was
lot of
talking about
mistakes.
earlier in the show, talking about Invincible. I'm like, yeah, of course these characters are gonna make dumb mistakes because they're like 17 or 18. Like that's normal.
Hmm.
That's in character.
Yeah, that's kind of the thing, because a lot of the time as a 17-year-old, and when I started out doing YouTube stuff, I didn't know what I was doing. I made a lot of mistakes, not even in content, just like content. Because confession here, I contacted a lot of creators through like Twitter DMs and all that, and I was definitely annoying with them. And
Mhm.
like the one reason why I'm like so well known now is because of my dumb mistakes back then. I look back on those times fondly. Like when 2020, for example, I didn't look back on it fondly. When I first started improving and started changing, I thought of myself as like, why did I make those mistakes? Things could have been so much better. But things couldn't have been better with if I hadn't made those mistakes before. Because
Right.
those mistakes kind of just they stick with you. Like when you make them, when you make an impression on people that keeps them in your head, it definitely helps a lot. Because the one reason I'm so well known, or like somewhat well known in the community, and a lot of people do know my name, is because I've done a lot of mistakes with like those creators by DMing them.
Mhm.
Those creators somehow kept me in their minds long enough to at least see me change and grow, and they've made like jokes about me in secret because of that stuff, and I'm very thankful for that, because now a lot of those creators know me by name, and we talk to each other not on the regular, but at least when we can, and that's a great position to be in.
Right.
So that's kind of how like Naruto's story does kind of remind me of myself, because he started out very annoying, but then slowly but surely changed and grew, and got the respect of the people around him.
Right. I mean, it really just comes down to the you miss all the shots you don't take. And like there are definitely
Yeah.
people in the community who I have very good relationships with now, and people who
Hmm.
initially I just saw like in my Twitter mentions or whatever, and then they ended up blowing up. One positive example of that would be Mr. Johnny Tucellos, who is
Ah, yes.
he's now very well known, but back before, I don't even know if he was making his own content back then, but like he did like one collaboration with the Roundtable and followed us, and then like he would like be in my DMs like whenever I posted like a new video he liked, and he'd be like, yeah, like good job on that. And like I remembered that, and like even though like I mean, he wasn't annoying about it. Like, I never thought like, oh yeah, this dude's being annoying or anything. But like, the fact that he did that, like, made him stick in my mind. And then like, once he did start to like build up his own brand and start doing his own content, I was like, I had no reservations about like checking it out and even like directing people towards him and like celebrating the fact that like, oh, he hits 100K, he does like all this stuff, and it definitely laid the foundation for a relationship to build over time.
Yeah. It's like, because that's kind of the thing, right? Recently the community has sort of noticed a disconnect between like creators who are on the rise, or have recently joined in, or have joined in for a while but still aren't like there in numbers. And
Right.
that's kind of where I feel like I've somewhat helped in that sort of direction, because I didn't start out like, of course I didn't start out with multiple like connections, but I still like grew, and managed to carve out my own part of the community that's somewhat trying to help the smaller crowd kind of grow.
Yeah.
And because of that, because of the connections that I do have, I managed to get people together. I managed to have people talk with other people, and I'm glad like people like if you know them, Offbeat Kiki, has someone noticed this, that like everybody's kind of started acting like they have their own cliques and they only hang out with those people.
Hmm.
And I feel like the community just kind of need to have more of a connection with each other, and have more opportunities to talk to each other. like imagine this. I couldn't live like a life where Nintendo, one of my biggest inspirations, knows who the fuck I am. And that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it actually is. And I kind of want more of that to happen.
Yeah.
Like where creators, big or small, like at least realize that people who they do respect or idolize do know who they are, and they can't talk to them whenever they can.
Yeah.
Not like in a sort of fan kind of way, but at least like as creators.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely see what you're talking about. Like, I do see there's like a disconnect between like what is kind of like a new wave of creators now, and
Yeah.
like, I mean, even me, like I was feeling like, oh man, like all these new people are coming along, and like even seeing like maybe indirect or direct like inspirations from like some of my content, or like how that ended up in their content from mine, I have no idea. Like maybe it's just the times changing, and maybe I had nothing to do with it, but it's like I see that and I'm like, oh man, like I don't even know how to like get in contact with this person. It's like they don't follow me on Twitter or anything. Like maybe they just watch my videos, and it's like, how do I like bridge the gap? And honestly, like so far, like doing this show, I think it's been very good for doing that, because like I'm getting to talk to you, I'm getting to talk to Artiste, who I didn't even know who she was until she just reached out to be on the show, and I checked her stuff out. I'm like, hell yeah, I'd love to have you on. So like that's definitely something that I'm hoping this show contributes to, is kind of like bridging the gap among the community.
So too, because we kind of need more of that. Literally one of my best like memories, at least during this stuff for like 3 years, was hopping on like one of my live streams on my channel. It was like December 2020, like New Year's 2020. Like New Year's like morning 2020, or like afternoon, I think. And I literally hopped on a stream and literally was helping just like this like group of people that like I just knew that year some would like reach new goals before the end of the year, and everybody was happy and everyone was just like enjoying themselves. I kind of want that feeling of community again. Like I kind of like, I always have like these moments where I kind of think like, would this be happening if I wasn't here right now? But a lot of stuff wouldn't be happening if I wasn't here, and if I didn't make the moves that I did. 100%.
That's awesome. I'm gonna. It's about 11:30 now. I'm gonna start wrapping up. So how about you shout out whatever you want to shout out, and thank you for coming on.
Oh yeah, no problem. I actually enjoyed it, even if it was for like a bit. But I enjoyed it. I'm glad I got to talk my shit.
Yeah.
Well, you can find me over at youtube.com/geektunes. I make reviews and stuff. Expect a lot of videos happening, because I've kind of been quiet for 2 months. I got a twitter.com/geektunes. Watch me tweet about random song lyrics and whatever. I also have a Discord server that's on my channel. Also my podcast. Shout out to my boys Shadex, Manuel D, Big Bro Tunes, my co-host on that podcast. Amazing people. And yeah, last thing, just kind of enjoy yourselves.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. It was a pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. See ya. Have a nice night.
You too.
And to close things off, first off, and also Shadex talking about Scout Fly on TikTok. I saw that. I don't know if he hangs around the cartoon community anymore. I'll say that. Geek did great. He did do great. Geek was a great guest. Before we sign off, since Amphibia, I believe, is ending this week. I said it was ending last week, but I think I got the dates mixed up, or like the airing mixed up. I'm gonna be honest, I don't pay close enough attention to the schedule. I just watch things. I just watch the episodes as they come out. But with Amphibia wrapping up, instead of the W of the week, I just want to dedicate this episode to Matt Braley and his crew. Just to speak on Matt Braley from my own personal experience, when I met him, he is an incredibly genuine person, an incredibly kind person. He definitely has a lot of passion for making his stories. The way he interacts with his crew is inspirational. Just the way that he's like just so kind and just excited to do things, excited to tell his story, excited to make it as good as possible. It's really inspirational, and it's really amazing to see his story, his cartoon, get to be on the air and get to go through the run that's gone through. Hold up, let me pull up the outro theme that we do. All right. And of course, before we go offline, I have to announce next week's guest. Next week is the finale of season 2. The next season, I'll probably be in Los Angeles. We might even have some guests in person, but for now, we got one more week for the finale, and that person will be Milky Puff, friend of the show, cosplayer, Japanese IRL streamer. Not herself is Japanese, but she lives in Japan and does IRL streaming. She'll probably go live like right after, around the time I go offline, maybe. I don't know what she's doing, but she'll be here next week. I know that much. She'll be on the show next week. Repeat of last season's finale. Thank you so much to everyone who followed. We broke 200 followers during the stream. That's awesome. Thank you guys so much. I hope y'all come back. And also thank you, Geek, for being an awesome guest. And with that, oh wait, hold up. I almost forgot to plug my own stuff. God damn. So hyped up. Almost forgot to give myself a little bit of attention. Follow me on TommyPQM. You can also see the full VOD for this, and also I'll be posting the isolated interview with Geek Tunes probably next week at some point on TommyPQM, youtube.com/TommyPQM. But also, I have a channel called Sugma Mail where I post highlights, post segments that I do in the first hour, and also I'm working on doing actual videos, more actual videos, just scripted out content in between the seasons. And for now, that's it. Thank you so much for coming out.